This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci fi show where things can get totally radical. Ho ho ho. Are you in the Christmas spirit? I sure am in the Christmas spirit. And today I will be welcoming back my good friend, the hilarious Linda Marcus Smith. And we're just going to talk about, what's going on in our lives and Christmas. I'm going to ask her what her go to Christmas movies and TV shows were back in the day and find out what else is going on in her life. And I can't wait. This is Linda's third time in the last year and a half coming on here. And I've been on her show, her awesome show, on YouTube 3 times. And it's going to be another fantastic experience, another trio. Also, this Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day, I will be dropping Ask Tommy number 9, where I answer frequently asked questions from guests and listeners. It's going to be a toe curler. A toe ho 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 curler. Also, happy birthday, my brother Joe, the guy you can blame for me loving a lot of these movies that get chronicled on this podcast. Also, happy birthday to the legendary animator Phil Roman, the man behind How the Grinch Stole Christmas and A Charlie Brown Christmas and so many other classic specials of our childhood in animation. Go listen to our interview from December 2020, episode number 1086. It's one of my favorite episodes I've ever done with any guest. Also, happy birthday to Hanoi Jane herself, Jane Fonda. Hope you enjoy your day, Barbarella. So yeah, here is my new interview with Linda Marcus Smith. So, you are moving to New York soon. When are you going to do that?
Well, I leave on the morning of January 2nd, and I
Mm-hmm.
get into New York City at 10 p.m. on the 2nd.
Nice, nice. When did you make the decision you were going to move there?
I was talking with a friend about how every time I go to New York, I get a ton of bookings, and there's just an aura of respect. Respect for older people, better respect for comedy. People come by the droves. You talk to a clerk at 7-Eleven. Oh, you do comedy? I want to come see your Here it's like pulling teeth. And the people that do come to comedy
Mm-hmm.
uh, sometimes come to Vegas to tear up the city, get drunk, and heckle. It's just a different vibe in New York.
Yeah.
So he said, you should move to New York. What's stopping you? I said, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
And Gladys Simon at Comic Strip Live told me I've gotten so good. If I move to New York, she'll have me rotate hosting at Comic Strip Live on the early show.
Oh. Yeah, New York
So,
is so much more artist based than, places like Vegas or California. It's just so much more supportive, I feel.
me too. People say, oh, aren't you afraid of getting mugged or beat up? No, actually, I have this thing that I believe that there's actually safety in numbers. I've been the only person out on the sidewalk where a homeless guy behind me picked up a boulder to hit me on the head. I've walked from one bus to another here in Vegas with very few people around, and a lady came up behind me and kicked me in the leg. You know, I feel safer in New York City than in Vegas.
Yeah.
Also,
Hmm.
I live across the street from the South Hall of the Convention Center. So every week there's a different convention. And so every week the lift prices skyrocket. So I don't drive and you don't want me driving. And lift prices, I can only afford to go to so many things. But in New York, I can get on the subway as a senior and anytime, day or night, feel perfectly safe and do it for $1.75.
Wow, I wish I lived across the street from a convention center. That would be fantastic.
You know what it's good for is getting people to come to comedy.
Hmm. Yeah. Does New York have military veteran shows?
Does New York have military shows?
Yeah.
Yes, I will be doing one regularly, weekly, at the VA hospital.
Nice. Nice. Do they have
So I do one
mhm.
for the outpatient psych patients.
They have American Legions there?
And there's quite a few organizations that do military type shows there too.
Yeah. We had so many branches of the American Legion in the Bay Area. My favorite one, we had one on Palm Avenue in San Mateo, and ironically, it was across the street from a porn theater called the Palm Theater. I shit you not. That's what it was called. My dad used to hang out there for like 20 years until it closed in the late 90s. And yeah, you should start a podcast with Helene
Why?
because you're both funny.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like doing my podcast by myself. People
Uh huh.
say that we should do a podcast. We do YouTube and Instagram lives.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, because you two are very funny together. I think that it would be hilarious to have you two, but if you like being alone, I totally get it. I've had a couple people, a couple women actually approach me and say, "Can I be your co-host of your podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, during the pandemic, that was a trend. Every like male podcaster got a girl co-host, and they all had these really annoying, like, squeaky voices. And I never understood why. you know,
Yes.
I could never get a co-host. Um, have you done shows in New York with Alex Elias?
Have I done shows with her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been on at Gladys Simon's when we've both performed, and at many mics with her. And then we also belong to the Greenwich House for seniors, where we get weekly prompts and comedy writing with Joe Firestone, who's the head writer for Taylor Tomlinson's show After Midnight.
Yeah, I love her. She's coached
So
there.
Alex,
Yeah,
say what?
I love Alex. She sent me a nice Christmas card that I got this week.
That's nice.
Yeah, we send each other Christmas cards every year, and we've done I think 4 podcasts now. I'm trying to get her on again. She's been super busy, and of course she lost her husband Richard not too long ago.
Yes,
But
to the doll.
yeah, I remember one time we were doing a podcast, and Richard walked by and started singing a Christmas carol.
Oh,
It's pretty funny.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So when you were growing up, did your parents celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah?
No, actually, we never observed anything that was Jewish other than leave us alone. We don't want to talk about it. We're Jewish. That was their Judaism. I didn't even know very much. A few times, my dad was a really good alcoholic and a really good gambler. And so once in a while, he would get drunk and drive us kids and dump us off at the synagogue.
Hmm.
So imagine your father driving drunk across town over a bridge and dropping you off and taking off and leaving you at a synagogue when you live in the poor part of town and you have nothing for clothes, and he drops you off at the richest synagogue in town. I was so little and scared, but I didn't really learn anything much. I even went to a Jewish camp in Jewel, Oregon, like
Hmm.
the singer Jewel,
Yeah.
B'nai B'rith summer camp. Stayed there whole summer, started learning some Hebrew,
Hmm.
how to write it, how to read it. But I've since forgotten. But I'm going through conversion classes with Rabbi Jill at the
Hmm.
Actors Temple.
You mean they
So I'm
never?
looking forward to, I'm going to become Jewish because,
Uh,
as you probably know, if your mother was not Jewish, but your
no.
dad was, Jewish people in some groups don't think you're Jewish. because of the law. And so I want to go through conversion classes like Sammy Davis Jr. to become Jewish.
Wow. Yeah, I know both my parents are Catholic, the good kind. And wow, so your parents didn't even give you a dreidel?
Oh, I did get to play with the dreidel. I do remember that. I was fascinated with it until they came out with the Rubik's Cube. And I'm like, you know what? I think Rubik's Cube is a lot more interesting. No, but I loved spinning the dreidel. I
Hmm.
just didn't follow directions.
Yeah.
And if you told me the directions, I'd find a way to cheat around them or make jokes or play around with it in a way that it's not designed. But I just loved spinning it because it was like, how does this thing stay up? Oh, it doesn't very long. But when it does stay up, it fascinated me.
I love those candle holders, those Jewish candle holders during Hanukkah. They're so cool. They remind me of football like goalposts.
Oh, yeah, the menorah.
Yeah, menorah, is that what
Yeah.
that's what it's called? Yeah, those are so cool. So it's Christmas. What are some of your favorite like Christmas memories throughout your life that you remember?
My favorite holiday, I'm going to go with holiday
Okay.
memories. One time I remember when I was married 7 years, one of those years, um, I remember getting, like, a long time ago, I got $50 and I was told by my husband that I could go spend it on myself. And I went
Hmm.
and found a beautiful pink sweater and a pink skirt. And that was amazing. Because usually he would buy gifts and I would get the stuff that I didn't want. But when I got to take the money and buy something I wanted,
Hmm.
oh, I was in seventh heaven.
Yeah.
That was one. Christmases with my daughter were always special.
Yeah.
She's now 47, but the more that I've gotten into getting over all the pain in my life,
Hmm.
the more I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
And so every moment is special.
Yeah.
And so now I can really enjoy the holidays in a deeper way because, like I love one of my favorite things I do is go and get a Marie Callender's dinner for four and go find four homeless people to feed. And I get a
Oh.
table and a tablecloth and four
Hmm.
chairs and sit it down on the sidewalk and let them feel like a king and queen for a day.
Oh.
That one time my daughter and I went to McDonald's house in Vancouver, Washington,
Hmm.
or Portland, Oregon, I'm not sure which, and we had $1,000 gift cards. This is when I was rolling in the money, and so um, I think we found four or five people to give $1,000 gift cards to, because at the McDonald house they like have children that are born with their hearts outside of their bodies,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
dire needs, and you give them $20 or $100, it's not even scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But watch what happens when you hand them 1,000.
Yeah. I just remember waking up every Christmas morning
That
and
was special.
yeah, I just remember waking up every Christmas morning, finding presents that weren't there before, and finding Oreo crumbs on the plates that I left for Santa. It was most likely my mom who ate all those cookies because she's got a sweet tooth. And I used to poke Santa's belly button every time I sat on his lap. You surprised?
That's a
Yeah.
definite sign you got a good sense of humor there.
Yeah. Well, he usually, he's got that white stripe down his Santa sweater, and there's that little red hole there. That's definitely his belly button. That's what I was poking, you know. We have a cute picture of my mom sitting on Santa's lap when she was like 6 years old, and she's got bangs like Moe in the Three Stooges. It's so adorable.
Wow.
I think
I
she,
do remember
yeah.
my mother started with buying, she was from Germany, and so she didn't have any rights or any confidence when she got here. But over time she became like emancipated and a woman's liber, and as she was starting to become an American woman, she, like, this was in like 1948, 1952, she started taking a little bit of money every year and getting a bigger organ to
Hmm.
play, like a electric piano. She
Yeah.
got a keyboard the first year, and she would sit there and drink and get drunk and sing Silent Night in English and German, and we had to sit there and listen to it. And then the next year she was doing the same thing on a bigger organ and a bigger, or finally she got to where she had one where you were like, where's the organ grinder and where's the monkey? It was like, it was a big show. The organ took up the whole room by the time she was done buying these.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I never had a Christmas like that where there was an organ playing, and even though we did go to church occasionally, we stayed home on Christmas. We never went on Christmas. Um, but like, have you ever worked in retail during the holidays?
Yes, I worked at Montgomery Ward's,
Oh,
worked at the Portland airport at the gift shop. Yeah, I absolutely love, waiting on people from different places and the holiday vibe when there's all these emotions. Some people are really happy, they're sad, it's just heart rendering.
for me, it's a fucking horror show. I've worked cash register, stock room, sales floor during the holidays. It's awful. The worst was when I worked at Michael's Arts and Crafts. The people there were so rude, but I do have one good memory of it. I had to help a deaf lady one time, and I told her I didn't understand sign language, and so she was doing the best she could to tell me to do something with this ornament price. And I think she wrote some stuff down to tell me. And I remember I did fix the price thing, and then she like gave me a kiss on the cheek before she left. I thought that was so sweet, and I felt so touched by that. This deaf lady, you know, it was it was a profound moment.
Yeah,
You know,
that's amazing.
can you imagine how bad postal workers have it in the overload of mail being delivered during November and December? I mean, God, me, my dad, and my youngest uncle are the only men in our family not to be postal workers.
Oh, wow.
We
That's something else.
we dodged a bullet. Yeah, I always wanted to be a Santa at the mall, but now I'm glad I didn't because there's a lot of narcissist kids who sit on Santa's lap, and they're already like halfway there to be narcissists themselves. I feel bad for those guys who have to make an extra buck during the holiday like that, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I remember one time during the holidays, my mom got a divorce after 17 years with my dad when I
Mhm.
was in seventh grade, and she didn't have bupkis for money. That
Mhm.
means she didn't have much. And we had a Christmas tree, and she got it frosted, which back in the day cost like $30.
Mhm.
And so after Christmas, she took it and nailed it to the roof of the garage. And the next year she took it down, and we had that same tree.
Wow. This year we just got this little teeny tiny tree. We're gonna wait till next year to put the real tree up because we have a new kitty, and we're afraid that she's gonna get into it. I mean, she destroys stuff all the time now, so we have to be very careful with her. You know how cats are.
Absolutely. They love to play. The only way to keep them off of a tree is to have one of those lights you flash at a pilot and use it around the room instead.
Yeah,
They love to follow that light.
yeah,
You know those little pointer lights?
yeah. We just
Can't
called them.
hear you.
Yeah, we just called them Christmas lights.
No, I mean the little pointer light that you make that a cat goes and follows around the room.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The laser pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we have that. Yeah, we drive our cat. We both of our cats crazy with that thing. Um,
Yeah,
are you a,
absolutely.
have you ever been a have you ever been a regifter?
Oh yeah. I'm really good at finding brand new stuff at Goodwill and giving it out. I've even jumped in dipsty dumpsters
uh,
at big box stores where they're throwing out stuff and giving it away for Christmas.
mhm. I've never been a regifter, but I've gotten people presents, and people have deliberately like not come pick it up, and that's how I knew that they weren't really my friends. That's happened to me a couple times, and I hate that. Just spending money on somebody out of the goodness of my heart, and then that happens. You know, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen to you?
I got the same exact present 2 years in a row. That kind of made me feel not special.
Oh, my friend, she sent me the same Christmas card 2 years in a row of her dressed like an elf, but it wasn't because I wasn't special. It's just she forgot she sent it to me already, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. But did you have a falling out with that person? Did that person like literally tell you that you weren't special?
No, it was I was a relative,
No.
and I didn't address it. I just observed it and made a mental note. And I think she buys things in bulk and just doles them out of a closet.
Hmm.
Oh, it's Christmas. Let me just reach my arm in and close my eyes and wrap it.
Wow.
That's what I imagined happened.
I remember being 6.
Like
Hmm.
I grew up where we were poor, and then when my parents did have money, all they at a certain point they just gave money because they started having money. So
Hmm.
we get maybe $20. So we got older, it was 100, and I remember being such a brat about it. I was like, oh, you didn't go through the like I went to the trouble to think of all the things you like, have, don't like, perfect match of what you'd want, you know, and you're just giving me money. How rude. It's like now I wish I could go back and go, I'm so sorry, please continue to give me money and don't, even after you pass away, I want to get your money.
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember being 6 and my grandmother telling me,
What?
I remember being 6 years old and
Yes.
my grandmother telling me that when she was growing up in the 20s, she was so poor that the family didn't get to celebrate any of the holidays. And I remember crying about it because I couldn't imagine not celebrating the holidays in 1989 when she told me this.
Yeah.
And she told me, "Don't cry. I'm happy because now I have you and all this stuff." And it just made me think now just it says a lot about just the abuse my grandmother suffered when she was a kid, not just for the fact that she couldn't celebrate the holidays, but just her whole life in general. My great grandfather was a bastard, according to
Wow.
according to my mother. Yeah,
Mhm. That's horrible. Oh, gosh.
yeah,
My parents went through a lot of abuse because of, in the old country, because of Hitler, and
yeah.
I grew up with bedtime stories that were so grim. And my dad was from a town where the Grimm brothers are from, and I'm like, yeah, nothing's grimmer than the stories my dad tells. The Grimm brothers have nothing on my dad.
God, that
I
generation.
used to be like I used to be like a Debbie Downer. If somebody would say, "Oh, my shoes are wearing out too fast." Oh yeah, but my parents went through the Holocaust.
I posted my favorite Debbie Downer quote the other day. You know who's excited about Christmas? The credit card companies. Womp womp.
That's funny.
I love that. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant character. I love it.
Yeah, it is a brilliant character.
So, what are your go-to Christmas movies?
Miracle on 34th Street is a
Yes.
must.
Yes, I agree. I watched it yesterday.
And you're going to think this is crazy. It's not typical Christmas, but there's two others.
Hmm.
It's a mad, 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 mad world
Yeah.
and the long, long trailer.
The Long Long Trailer. I don't know that one.
That was Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball going through the mountains
Oh yeah, I know that
up
movie.
to with rocks in their trailer.
Oh yeah, I know that
She's
movie now.
collecting boulders
Oh yeah, I know that movie.
and they're going up a windy road and the boulders are flying everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't know the name of it, but I know it. I remember
You remember it?
yeah, and I especially remember the VHS box cover. Now that I think of it, they're in the car.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I love the original Miracle on 34th Street, Trading Places, Santa Claus the movie, Christmas Vacation. I just had somebody on from Christmas Vacation the other day, and many Christmas movies that have the horror theme too. I love. That's
Oh,
always
wow.
that's always been my favorites. I like It's a Wonderful Life, but like, it got so overplayed because it was in the public domain that it's not like my favorite to go to anymore.
Well, yeah.
And so many people have rehashed it on TV sitcoms or A Christmas Carol. You know, it's just like people run out of original ideas.
So true. That's so true.
Although I did see a good one on Tubi just recently, I recommend it. It's called The Christmas Karen. It's about this woman who's a narcissistic, racist, homophobic, and she gets visited by three ghosts to see her past, present, and future as to why she is that way. And the last like 20 minutes of the movie shows her, redeeming herself, and everyone's wondering like, wow, I thought she was never going to change. you know it was great. It's on Tubi. It's like 2 years old. It's a good one, the Christmas Karen. what about
Wow.
what about TV specials for Christmas?
I think they have a Christmas parade somewhere. I think I
Yeah.
watch a parade. And I like watching I like watching reruns of the old Christmas specials.
Yeah.
Nostalgic, like
Yeah.
a Carol Burnett Christmas special or Donnie and Marie. Just
Yeah.
anything that brings back memories for me and the old songs. I'm a baby boomer.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Charlie Brown Christmas special and the Thanksgiving one too. I love
Yes.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In fact, today is the animator Phil Roman's birthday. Of both of those, of all those specials I just mentioned, I had him on a few years ago. One of my very favorite interviews I've ever done. He's still a purist of old school animation.
Wow.
He doesn't like CGI. He said to me, "There's nothing like the magic of a paint and brush," and that brought a little tear to my eye.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
he was an animator on Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
Wow.
I love that. That holds up. Sleeping Beauty. It's so beautifully drawn.
Yes.
You know. I also love Pee Wee's Christmas Playhouse special. I watched that the other night. I still crack up every time I see it.
That's amazing. My very first comedy album that I listened to
Hmm.
was the Red Fox Red album.
Yeah,
Have you ever listened to it?
I love Red Fox, so I probably did hear it.
Go back and Google it. You'll die laughing. It's so good.
Yeah, I interviewed this actress. She went to go see him live in the late 70s, and she said his opening joke was, "I'm here tonight to talk about the taint." If you don't know what the taint is, it's between the pussy and the ass. And everyone was like spitting out drinks, laughing because they had never heard something so dirty and funny before, you know?
Exactly. He was ahead of his time. I mean, way back then,
Yeah,
people were, like coming out of being in the silent generation to
yeah,
Red Fox. Imagine how funny that was.
yeah.
It was like the awakening of, they had the Kinsey report that came out and told everybody about sex.
Mm-hmm.
That turned people on their ends, and then out came Red Fox.
You know what occurred to me recently is that Dick Gregory was kind of like
Yeah.
the black Lenny Bruce of his day, in the commentary and the things that he said. And I didn't
Hmm.
know this, but he rejected like so many offers to like have his own show and movie deals and what have you, like a lot of performers were having at that time, comedians and stuff, because he was like, I'm a
Hmm.
comic, that's who I am.
Exactly. I think that it's really important that comedians have and keep their voice, whatever their voice is, that they're able to maintain it in
Yeah.
this world of PC correctness.
Yeah.
That they stand. I'm not saying that if they make a mistake and they're up against really getting canceled, that they can't apologize. But for the most part, I don't think they should acquiesce to all the fleeting rules that keep changing.
Have you had any experiences lately where like people are standing up and saying that's offensive, that's not funny?
We had a heckler that was heckling every comedian the
Hmm.
other night, and it was fun for me to see she just wasn't going to stop. So each comedian had their own way of handling her,
Hmm.
and that was interesting. It was like a master class in how to handle a heckler. But she didn't stand up. She sat, and her husband. I always love it when there's a lady heckler,
Yeah.
drunk or sober, and the husband says nothing, and he looks mortified, and
Yeah.
he looks scared to say anything. And can you imagine that when she says, "Oh, honey, let's go to comedy," and he's like, he doesn't even have the nerve to say, "It's embarrassing because you never shut up."
Hmm.
And like, so the host just like was doing hosting work and she was talking. He ignored it. I got up there and I said, I had found out that they were married 49 years, which is like a miracle.
Yeah.
She dominates him. And so, I just, they were older, and, it was a lot of younger people in the crowd. And I just looked at her and I said, you seem like the type of people that might be into three ways. And obviously they're not, right? That's
Yeah.
why I said it, because that was supposed to be funny, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like, oh, you guys seem like 49 years. That must be because you're into three ways. And she goes, no, we're not into three ways. And I go, well, I didn't mean that. And I pulled out this pen I have that's got three colors of ink. And I go,
Hmm.
I meant this kind of three. I just thought you like multicolored pens. Like, you don't have to get all up in a bunch about it. I think if you try the real three way, it might make you last another 39 years.
I love
So
it.
that kind of stopped her from talking. And then the others that came up, they were like, shut the up, and like,
Yeah.
I already told you to be quiet, like nothing would stop this lady, really stop her.
I freaking love that.
What's the worst you've seen?
Oh God, let me think. I haven't seen like a total amount of really bad hecklers. Although I do remember in my early years when I was doing stand up at the Brainwash, there was a guy that got offended by this one guy who had this really unique act. He would just go up there and just be completely, probably more deadpan than Stephen Wright ever could be, and say really cutting things to people in the audience. And I remember this one guy, I don't remember what the joke was, but he got offended by it. And like after the guy got off stage, he said to him, "Hey man, let me give you some advice on how to do comedy." And that's got to be the worst when you got an audience member saying that to you.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't remember what the joke was though, but yeah, the guy felt really insulted, I remember, you know, but
Yes.
but
I love it, like the longer you're in comedy, the comments you get from audience members after your set
mhm,
are they just keep getting better and better. Like I remember when I first started, people would leave the room, roll their eyes, poke each other, and look away and not give me eye contact after. And then little by little, people would say, "You look so pretty up there," or, you know, "What made you get into comedy? You're so brave." All those superfluous
mhm,
compliments that mean absolutely nothing at the beginning. And then you work harder at having material, trying to be memorable,
yeah,
trying to get good laughs,
yeah,
consistent laughs. And finally you get, "You were brilliant."
yeah,
That's now if I could only feel like I'm brilliant when they laugh. I'm still at I'm still trying to get the huge, huge laughs.
yeah,
I can be brilliant, but I don't know that I believe it when I listen back and hear
mhm,
the laughs. The laughs don't sound like the crowd thought I was brilliant.
yeah. I mean, God, when you're up there, you're at the mercy
I
of the
can't hear
audience.
you.
When you're up there, you're at the mercy of the audience, and you can either sink or swim. I mean, there's no in between, and sometimes you pray for a miracle. Yeah, maybe the waitress or somebody in the club will drop something, and maybe it'll distract you until you get your mind back to where it needs to be from being nervous.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah.
It's a great point. Okay, so what are some interruptions you've had that have actually helped your comedy set?
I don't even know if I've had any. I mean, I've seen other people in that situation have it. Um, I remember,
Or seen when you've or heard about?
I remember one time a guy was, I don't know, was saying pussy like 100 times or something, and this one waitress, she was like, I don't know, pouring water to somebody's drink, and she almost like spilled it because she was laughing so hard at it.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, I remember that. God, I'd really have to like sit and think really hard about a lot of things I saw in stand up because just I'm at the point now where I'm 41 and like little by little the years are like fading away, but only like at maybe 2%. you know.
Yes.
And I keep having that debate with my mother. She's like, "You're still too young to like forget stuff." And I'm like, "No, once you get to 40, you go from 100 to 99%, and then it keeps getting lower and lower as the years go by."
Yes.
She doesn't realize that. So if I may get serious for a moment, I know that this year you found out that your daughter is alive and well, but she's still not ready to make amends. I feel so bad for you in that situation. But do you at least, see hope for the future in that?
At first, thank you for bringing up the subject.
Mm-hmm.
At first, 10.5 years ago, when we went our separate ways, I
Mm-hmm.
was a broken woman who didn't even want to live without my daughter.
Yeah.
And over time, to be honest,
Yeah.
I've had lots and lots of moments where I've lost hope in it
Yeah.
ever turning around. And then in the last 2 months, Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
two people have come back into my life, my ex-husband and my first boyfriend, both whom I was madly in love with, and
Oh.
they've both independently of each other apologized profusely to me for how they treated me, which has given me new hope that, well, it took them from 1972 and 1980
Oh,
to apologize in 2024, late 2024. So hopefully I'll be alive when my daughter does come to a reckoning.
that is so beautiful that your two exes came into your life as well, and everything's great. Oh my God! But I'm still a little hurt for you about your daughter. But let me ask you: do you think, in retrospect, you were a good mother to her growing up?
No,
No.
I was good in that I loved her to the ends of the earth. I was a good mother, that I was always there. I wasn't neglectful or abusive.
Hmm.
But where I was bad is I spoiled her rotten. So I was like a helicopter mother, which is funny because in the army I was nowhere near helicopters, but nonetheless, I hovered and hovered and hovered and
Yeah.
smothered loved her, and to the point where, and then it made it hard. I did everything with her and for her, never said no, which made it hard for her to be an adult and have her own independence. That's where I failed.
Same thing happened with me.
I do have to own the failure that I caused.
Hmm. Same thing happened with me, and now I've more than made up for it. And my mom and we've made up for our mistakes in the past, and our relationship is much more stronger now.
Absolutely.
And I think you'll
That's
get.
great.
And I think.
Someday, maybe. Some days, if I see a child that reminds me of my daughter at certain stages, I have to take a moment to let myself be sad.
I think you'll get there eventually. And God, that's great though with the X's though. That's a start. That's a start. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but parenting isn't easy. I'm glad I never got there. Though with that new kitty, I kind of curious to try it. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how's your health?
So,
Go ahead. Hmm.
no, you go ahead. You're the one interviewing me. You go ahead. How's my health?
Yeah, how's your health these days?
Well, you know, every single part of my body has something wrong with it. I once put a skeleton up and little dots everywhere there's an issue in my body. And nothing is life threatening yet,
Yeah,
but they did find a 19 millimeter sit growth in my bile duct. Now, your bile duct is 8 millimeters.
yeah.
So if you have a 19 millimeter cyst inside your bile duct, you really have a bile duct with a you really have a cyst with a bile duct in it.
God.
That's the joke.
I
So I have to laugh about it. Somebody thinks I can handle this. And then they found a 9 millimeter cyst in my pancreas. So when I get to New York and I pick up my new my new weekly military show at the VA hospital there, I also have to get in process to go and get biopsies.
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because I won't lie. Last time you were on, I got weepy during my outro because I had no idea you were sick. And just like, I love you so much, Linda. Like, I want more years with you.
How sweet are you? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was so sick. But like I've got growths in my right lung that they say are from the bad air in Vegas, and I have blood clots in my left lung, and I have hereditary blood clots, advanced osteoporosis, so nobody can jump my bones, and I have degenerative arthritis, you know, and like
Yeah.
a brain injury, allergic to most food. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play? But whatever comes your way, you have to be well adjusted to it
The-
because something else is going to come along.
this is what happens when they let smoking into the casinos in Vegas. You know, it's just God, it's awful.
Yes, absolutely,
God,
absolutely.
do
I
do.
mean,
Mhm.
I plan on trying to live another 25 years, so hopefully I'll be able to do that.
I hope so. Do you fear death?
Um, this whole thing with the 19 millimeter cyst in my bile duct and 9 millimeter in the pancreas has made me come to terms with what if I don't survive. So I'm okay with it now, but that's new in the last
Yeah.
month or two. I'm okay with it. I've done a lot, and when it's my time to go, I'm not one of these gloom and doom, like, oh, I don't know, this world, I just want out. I'm not like that at all. I
Hmm.
want to be here as long as I can. But then when the good Lord says it's my time, I won't, I'll never end my life ahead of time.
Hmm.
I believe that the good Lord's in charge of that.
God, I had four friends die this year. They were all in their 40s, and I spent most of my life fearing death until my accident, and then I stopped. And now, since this happened, and that I had a health scare that ended up being nothing a few months ago, I think about it a lot more. Um, my friend Kristen Frisk, who was a very funny stand-up comedian, she died of pneumonia back in February, and I cried for months. I will tell you, because I loved her so much. We did 5 great podcast episodes, and
Well,
I was a little embarrassed by the last one at first, but then I went back and listened to it, and there were some heavy moments in there that I even forgot existed because we were always so vulgar in like all of our podcasts. But this one got a little heavy, and I forgot that, and so now I'm pleased with it. But
oh, great. That's
but
great.
yeah, but like I feel bad for her daughters who are still pretty young and what they have to go through. Do you have a will?
Let's see. I guess the answer would be no.
Really? Because I was going to ask you if you would leave me.
I don't have a will. I really don't have anything to leave.
Yeah.
Um, my finances haven't been wonderful. Like all the money that I get from my VA
Hmm.
disability and my Social Security, I use it to further comedy and interviews
Of course.
and to live off of or to travel and do comedy. So I don't really have a nest egg that I kind of go month to month, and I'm okay with that. I don't have a daughter in my life anymore,
At the
and
moment. At the
I
moment.
wouldn't want her to want to be in my life for a will, and I would want her just to be in my life. I want my daughter back in my life, but I want my daughter back in my life getting help with her anger and her hatred for her life and wanting to blame it all on me. I mean, I wasn't, like I told you, I spoiled her, but she's got to get to a place of forgiveness.
Yeah. Like I said, I think you're gonna get there. It's gonna
So
happen.
otherwise, I'm not safe around her because she does have a lot of anger, or
Yeah.
did. I don't even know her anymore. Imagine 10.5 years. Well, it's
Hmm.
10 3/4.
I'm not good at
Sometimes I see a child or an adult that reminds me of my daughter.
I'm not good at
So,
math. I couldn't
but
even
yeah,
solve
the
that.
police found her alive and doing well. They said she's healthy.
Oh,
So
that's
who
good.
doesn't want to know that your child is alive and healthy? And she must be happy because I think if she was in dire straits, she would probably reach out to somebody in the family, but she hasn't talked to anybody in the family, not a soul. Well, my sister contacted her, got a hold of her like 4 years ago, and
Hmm.
they were supposed to meet once, and then my daughter canceled it, changed her mind.
Yeah, I seriously think you're on the really good path there. I really do. So, do you have any upcoming interviews or any good interviews lately you've done?
Yeah, I enjoy interviews so much. I loved interviewing Mark Riccadonna,
Hmm.
and I have an upcoming interview of Tom Arnold.
Nice.
and I don't have the date for it yet, but and then I got to meet a Grammy award winning producer, and he used to be in a singing group called Sly, Blank, and Wicked. I can't remember. And I get to interview John Wilson. John, quote unquote, Sly Wilson. I get to interview him January 5th.
Well, nice, nice.
Go through, go through his life.
Have you had Christine Blackburn on your show?
I'm not sure. Let me go look at her
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger.
You both should be on each other's shows. You both got great stories.
Really?
Yeah, she's done this podcast for the last almost 15 years coming up called Storyworthy, where her and the guest like talk and like they tell a story and she doesn't interrupt them. She hears it all the way through, no matter how long it takes, and it's a wonderful show. I had her on back in March, and it was great. And then in May she lost her hearing and she just had ear surgery the other day.
Oh,
Yeah, she's very funny when she does her stand up. I love her voice. It's like Marge Simpson from Philly. The best way to describe Christine Blackburn's voice.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
asked
mm,
I asked to interview her and I asked if I could be on her show long ago,
mm,
right after I did Sinbad
uh,
in 2021. Hasn't worked out yet for whatever reason.
interesting.
So we shall see. I asked just now, asked her again. Thanks for the reminder.
Oh, so you have asked Christine to go on then?
Yeah, I've asked to be on her podcast and to have her on mine both.
Yeah, she seems very integral when it comes to her show. It's funny. I was telling her stories in our interview just in case I never get asked to do hers, and I don't think I ever will. And it's not from a lack of confidence or anything. It's just logic. I could still be surprised one day, but for the most part, I told her a couple good stories, and she told me some good stories as well. That's why I'm a big supporter of hers. Yeah, I gotta say,
Wow.
I love coming on your show, and it's funny. I send guests those episodes whenever they want to know more about me because I'm sick of answering the same questions from them during interviews sometimes, and they can be sort of demeaning at times. And so, like, I tell guests now, of like movies and stuff to just like let me interview you. You can trust me. Everything's gonna be good. I'll send you links to the Linda Marcus Smith show where I'm being interviewed because we've done three good ones and I never tell the same stories in any of them. I'm always bringing new stuff to the game, and it's worked out well.
Fabulous. It's
Yeah.
great. Way to go.
Oh, are they still calling you the Golden Girl?
Did I tell you about what Helene and I went through at
Yeah.
Greenwich Village? Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes up every once in a while, but
Hmm.
when I hear the word golden come out of their mouth, I give them a dirty look. And if they're smart, they'll change their joke.
Did you know that there was a movie called Golden Girl in the late 70s?
No.
1978, I believe. Susan Anton is a robot and she runs track and field in the Olympics. It's basically the bionic woman in a track and field situation. And James Coburn plays her coach. And this was like the beginning of Coburn going from villain to hero to supporting old man. And he was only 50 at the time, but he looked older.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it from that angle. Yeah, I'm the Susan Anton Golden Girl. I'm running for the race of victory.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
I give you so.
know, it's more like when I go into the Golden Girl, it's more like we have golden showers because we can't hold it that long.
I
Hold
under,
our pee that long.
I interviewed an actress once. She told me she used to hang out at Studio 54 in New York. And one time she went into the alley and saw this guy give a girl a golden shower. Because back in the 70s, you could get away with that stuff in public.
Yes.
Heck, you could get away with it in San Francisco when I was going to Gay Pride years ago.
Yes.
So, do you have any upcoming shows before the move?
Yes, I sure do. So, this coming Thursday, there's an amazing show like no other. It's a variety type show here in Vegas, on West Sahara at the Chill Bar in Las Vegas. And it's so different because not only is it a variety show, but it's a variety of present and ex
Mm-hmm.
people who have had residencies up and down the strip over the last 30 years. So you'll get the best Frank Sinatra impressionist, the best um, Dean Martin. Mr. Dean Martin comes in. You get a lady that sings opera music,
Nice.
opera type music to modern day songs.
Nice.
You get um, singing groups that have had their own shows up and down the strip. I mean, the talent is through the roof, and they don't let comedians do it take over the show. So they'll put on a non comedian and then a comedian and a non comedian and a comedian to break it up because the crowd really is there to eat dinner and be entertained. So they want comedians that are more entertaining than, like that do act outs and facial expression, voices, impressions. They don't want just standing still saying words.
Yeah. It's a
So
little.
it's a great place for me to grow my entertainment factor.
That's very confusing, though. Non comedian. There's a lot of non comedians doing stand up.
Yes, there's people are out there trying their best, and it makes it hard when you see people that aren't trying their best, just kind of coasting and like, ah, come on, you've been doing this how long? You haven't figured out that's not funny?
Yeah.
That's not really comedy? Whatever, dude.
Here's a couple jokes for you.
Everybody's got their own path and their own timing. So
Yeah. Here's a couple jokes for you. Why did Frosty the Snowman have a smile on his face?
I give up.
He saw the snowblower across the street.
That's cute. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I don't know.
I didn't know they had sex. Wouldn't that be pedophilia?
Oh,
It's your turn.
that's
You give me
brilliant.
a riddle.
I don't know riddles, to be honest with you.
See,
Except,
these are kind of riddle jokes, like dad joke type things.
of course. Um, you know the difference. Okay, here's because you mentioned Rubik's Cube. You know the difference between a Rubik's Cube and a penis?
Want to see my Rubik's Cube?
The more you play with it, the harder it gets.
That's incredible.
You want to see my Rubik's Cube? That's a good one, though.
Like you ask a blonde. You know what happens when you ask a blonde if you know the difference between a Rubik's Cube and a penis? And she says no, and you say, "You want to see my Rubik's Cube?"
And she'll go like, "Oh yeah, I'd like to." Linda, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on, and it's always
Wish
great.
me luck in New York.
Oh yes,
So
I.
I'll be Thursdays, every Thursday, 5:30 at the Comic Strip Live.
Hmm.
Once a month I'll be hosting it, but I'll be there every Thursday. I'll be in the rotation to host at Yonkers Comedy Club, and I'll be doing my weekly. If you're a veteran or know a veteran in New York, have them come to the VA, to the clubhouse, Fridays at 2 o'clock, but that starts in March.
Awesome, awesome. And yes, and we'll talk again. And have a safe move. And Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Be safe. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much, Tommy. I'm so proud of you, and thank you for having me on. And if you're following Tommy, be sure that you really help support his career in any way you possibly can. He's a mensch of a guy.
Thank you. And you are whatever the female equivalent of a mensch is.
Yeah, it means you're a good guy
Thank you. Thank you.
in the best way possible.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Okay,
Okay.
super. See you later.
See you later. Bye bye. Well, there you have it. Linda Marcus Smith. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh my God, I love having her on, and I'm so glad that she got to rekindle things with her exes. That's a start. That's a start. You know, everybody would like to rekindle with certain exes. Not all of them, just the ones that were keepers, the ones that they fucked up their relationships with, quite frankly. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes!